I joined the military back in 1998. So I am working towards my 28th year in service. And I lost my full-time job, which is called an AGR position in the National Guard. And that's a full-time position. I survived as a part-time traditional guardsman and then escaped to the Army Reserve as what they call a TPU, a drill weekend soldier. I had one guy in my platoon have a um, IED, but EFP, explosive form projectile. I'm sure you know what that is, but these like super hot slugs um, that come out of an IED. They're made with high-end explosives, so they almost act like a plasma cutter so they're a forced projectile, and they're super hot, so they cut through high hard steel. And so I had one guy, his ass got blown off, essentially like a baseball or a little bigger than a baseball went in his one cheek and stopped on the other side of his pelvis. The kid had a wallet. Hopefully, you can see my hand about 4 inches thick, and it smiley faced his wallet after it had gone through, a couple inches of high hard steel, a Kevlar blank, the Kevlar lining on the inside of the gun truck, and then the gunner's cage. Smiley faced his 4 inch wallet, and then didn't come out the other side. Um, and he was saved. He lived. He did live. I went to FOIA them again just, I don't know, right at the beginning of 2025. I asked for them. I specifically didn't ask for the number of how many reprimands were given. I asked for the actual documents, and there's been no reply. So the main Army Guard has broken the FOIA law, response law. So my guess is that they have destroyed the records. But those GOMARs, so they say listed guy like yourself, that would have done irreparable damage in a couple years, especially if you were an E4 going for an E5 or E5 going for an E6. That GOMAR would hammer you for a couple years and flag you essentially from being able to do schools that you need for professional development, or just schools in general that would make you more professionally competent and stuff like that. Reservist guardsmen that were forced to be AWOL'd because there was documents that came down and said these people can't drill for a certain time. Um, so they would have had bad years, missed drills, AWOL'd. This is how they got rid of people. They forced them not to come to drill, and then they AWOL'd them. And then that's how they proceeded to process them out, pending on the state, pending on the commands, pending on when they started this on soldiers. Some were actually forced out, and then some, because of the reversal in 2023, it just depended. There's a timing thing with all the
Well, this might be a little out of left field, but anthrax.
anthrax. That's
Yeah,
a
it was
nasty one.
anthrax.
Yep.
Were you in for that, or was that a little bit? I'm getting confused on timelines with that.
Okay.
So that
Good
my
question.
my question is really that this isn't the first kind of
No,
experience you've had with being
no.
a guinea pig.
Right. In the federal courts, I'm not a part of the anthrax military guys that stood up. That's just a few years before I came in. That's like
Okay.
early to mid 90s when those guys stood up. However, because there was a lot of them, those guys were instrumental in helping us early on waging this battle. Okay. And they need to be fixed. There's a lot of them out there that still need the remedies that we have been able to get with Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
You mentioned earlier, you said, was it vaccine bullying or COVID bullying
Yeah,
as one
oh,
of
good.
the,
Thank you. Yes, yes, I'd like to explain that. Okay,
yeah.
what that was, there's two incidents, but on one of my documents, it's more so bringing the truth, which was be like stating that it was experimental. So making soldiers aware that it's experimental per the FDA document that had the little footnote there saying there's actually no FDA approved product on the shelves yet. That original document and which was an FDA document. So I that was vaccine COVID vaccine bullying. So presenting the actual real truth, real information became
Oh,
bullying. Saying, saying that this is experimental and there's potential for cancers um, because of the gene therapy, using the term gene therapy as opposed to actually vaccine, what it really is, a gene therapy. This is COVID bullying. One of the false allegations was government time waster. I was a government time waster. Okay,
that's a
because
new
I
one. I
was
haven't heard
wasting
that.
my time looking up safety data sheets and scientific journals and doing this kind of study. Well, guess what? That's what I get paid to do. Safety data sheets is what I do for precursors for chemicals all the time in hazmat response. You got to know your safety data sheets, all right, or the safety characteristics of anything that I do as a hazmat response person. Okay, so I was a government time waster.
What kind of advice would you give people like us or people like me that are just kind of starting out in all this?
Okay. So if you were punished during that time, you just need to find the connection to the COVID mandates piece of it methodically. And then you do have to, unfortunately, the burden of proof is on the individual to provide why this mandate, the COVID vax, hurt you. It puts you in this position to do this. So this is
Absolutely.
how you need to piece this together when you build your case in support of yourself. And FOIA requests, I have sent many FOIA requests out there. The government hardly ever does their job and answers them. However, I did get a couple key ones back. One of them was my security clearance investigation that I didn't know for like 2 years. What the hell? So I was waiting for the friggin' because they used the same fraudulent allegations from my 15-6 investigation, calling me a domestic extremist or COVID conspiracy theorist. They sent that to the security office. My wife and I are sitting around. Is a friggin' FBI coming through my front door at some point? Like I don't know. Well, apparently I won in like January of 2024, and I didn't know it until May of 25, only because I sent a FOIA request in December of 24 or January of 25. So somewhere right in that time frame, I sent a FOIA request to the security office saying, "What's the outcome? Did I win? What's the deal?" I am assuming I won because I still seem to have a clearance and I haven't been taken out, but I finally got a real good response, and I got the memorandums that were actually sent down to the main Army Guard clearing me.
It's all new stories to me, but it's like I've heard it before, Like I can't I don't know. It just goes back.
It's
Everything is related to my situation. You know what I mean? Like I think about the way I was treated and the way I witnessed others were treated, and then I hear things like this and it's just like, yeah, yeah, it's.
Well, this type of stuff is key. Support groups with people that you can trust. Um, it's hard to just give perform work duties with the trust you once had. I do believe I have to some degree a problem, maybe like post traumatic stress disorder to some degree, because I don't trust the command at all. And do I get I'm trying to find the right word for it here. Do I get anxiety around certain things that happen at, say, I still Army reservist drilling status? Like when the flu shots come out, does anxiety build? Oh, absolutely. If I'm not going to get it, I'm going to get reported.
They got a taste of a little bit of power over people. They were allowed to act with impunity, and now they don't want that genie back in the bottle. I mean, that's as simple as I think anybody can make it. People that join the military as a stepping stone or cut the throats of their brothers and sisters to advance their career in any way, that's antithetical to everything we're about. Nobody like that has any sort of business being in a position of power over people that are supposed to be protecting this country. If you wouldn't mind letting everybody know where to find you and your work.
Yeah, I think probably the best way is the Truth for Health Foundation. Truth for Health Foundation. You can go to that website and truthforhealth.org. So that's one place. And then, of course, Joseph Warren, founding martyr. or at Martyr Joe's 1776. So Jose. It stands for Joseph.